We knew something was going to happen. Testing the microphone. Testing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can you hear me? All right, let's go out the door. Substituting today for a snoozing, authentic T-Rex is T-Rex Wally, green monster. T-Rex, you go out the door, T-Rex. Nice, fly. Well, this is a little different. What happened to the blue sky? Got some stratocumulus, some altocumulus, and some curiosity. Did the temperature cool to the dew point on the clamshell last night? I don't think so. Well, then why is there dew all over everything? Anybody? Anybody? If the temperature didn't cool to the dew point, what must have happened? The temperature was cool last night and the dew point rose above the temperature at the table. The table was probably about 60 degrees last night when the sun went down. Now the dew point this morning is 65 degrees. So that's called moist air advection. It didn't rain, but it's drippy. Ha. And that's just the first 20 seconds. Well, actually, we're already to a minute, Tim. So why the clouds? Well, we advected moisture. There's H2O moving in at all levels of the atmosphere, except for the top of the atmosphere, which is good. And it almost looks like there's a little precipitation trying to form in there. So the stratocumulus, that's the low-level moisture coming in off the ocean. And the waves are big. Well, we said the waves were going to get bigger. And they're breaking way out there. It's low tide right now. Who's paddling out into this? The wind is kind of side shore. It's kind of rough. And it has to do with a departing high-pressure system, a low-pressure system developing north of Bermuda. I think the sun is going to end up coming out, and these clouds will probably evaporate. A lot of times these clouds, as the warmer, more humid air tries to come back, they are thicker in the morning than they are in the afternoon. So I'm optimistic. Wow, look at that wave. There's a high surf advisory in effect across the coastal waters of Cape Ann through Cape Cod and the islands for breaking seas of 5 to 9 feet. That issued by the National Weather Service, and also rip current advisories. So, expert swimmers and surfers only. Right there. That's a closeout, though. Where's my left? Where's my right? And go to Truro and find a sandbar. Are we going to chase surf today? Well, I'm not really. If I see 6 feet 10 seconds, I'm not taking my longboard out there. It's just too rough for me. But at low tide, sometimes you can find the inside break. So that's your surf report for this morning. And the surf is going to build, but what's the wind going to do? That's a really tough forecast. And I queued up the Wellfleet 5-day meteogram because, well, I'm in Wellfleet. Look at those lines. I can't stop. Do you like surf weather? Look at the sun glare out there. The sky's trying to clear out there. So that looks like about that is pretty close to 5 feet, probably about 8 seconds. So there's a chance I could get out there. Yeah, what's the wind going to do? Wellfleet 5-day meteo, right? That's what I said. It shows the sunshine returning this afternoon. It also shows a fairly strong northeast wind today, tonight. And that's the Euro guidance. The GFS is less bullish on the wind, but look at that. There's not really any rain involved in this. And the sun tries to come back tomorrow, and the wind goes lighter from the east-northeast and then switches around, and light variable wind is possible by late tomorrow, and then Sunday briefly from the southwest, then west, then northwest as sunshine returns on Sunday. So we've mentioned many times that this weekend forecast is a moving target, and it has to do with energy not phasing. Earlier in the week, when it looked like one storm was going to ride up either Connecticut River or Hudson River, we were phasing the early autumn polar jet stream digging into the Great Lakes and the subtropical jet stream coming up the East Coast. But instead, it looks like any phasing is going to be well offshore and brief, and it's not able to focus the polar energy and the subtropical energy for any significant single storm. Instead, we have several different low-pressure centers. If we look at the really big picture satellite, you can make out waves of energy from Texas across Florida, and then off of North Carolina, and then especially north of Bermuda for our interest, and then another one that's well southeast of Newfoundland, and then the cloud in the front extend all the way up to Norway. So essentially what we have here, and here it is in a a graphical form, a front stalled from Norway to near Bermuda to Texas. And along that front is the boundary with the tropical air staying along and south of that front. And it looks like that front is going to stay well south of New England for at least the next 10 days. Instead, we're going to get a front from the west and the northwest coming in here, and that has been responsible for some severe weather across the northern plains, but it's going to be weakening as it comes at us because the low pressures offshore are going to kind of trap the energy or stop the energy from merging with that front. So that front's going to be running into much drier air that is still across New England. Oh, I forgot to show the temperature map. So this really illustrates what I'm talking about with the dew point advection. See the wind from the northeast over Cape Cod and the islands. Temperatures and dew points are now in the 60s. So all of a sudden we've turned humid because of this ocean feed. But inland today, the dew points this morning were still in the 40s, and that allowed the temperature to get into the 40s in a lot of spots. And Saranac Lake even got to 39 degrees this morning. So there's your boundary between this new, warmer, more humid air trying to come north into the cooler and drier air. But the boundaries are going to be weak and stay separate for the most part, even though they're fairly strong right now. So why don't I try and explain this as I put the maps in motion using the same thing I do every day, the pivotal weather, the Euro, and we have the waves of low pressure. Now that one north of Bermuda is still expected to deepen now to a 999, and the isobars from that reach to Cape Cod and the islands. That's why our air from the northeast, because wind is air moving from high to low pressure, so between the low over the Midwest and that low over the ocean, you have two different wind directions, and that front coming in from the west does cause the wind to come around from calm to southwest late tomorrow. And I guess I should freeze it at 10 a.m. I've got to go real slow on this because I want to show you the 10 a.m. map as we've showed it many times in the last week and a half. It had a storm right over Long Island, and now you have three separate systems. The one that's off the map to the right, the one that's going by, responsible for the high surf right now. You have another one off North Carolina. That looks kind of threatening, doesn't it? It's only about 1,006. And then you have a low over southeastern Canada with the front coming into New York, but the three are all staying separate. Blue jay alert, blue jay alert. That means there's probably another predator bird around here somewhere, right? No, they're yelling at you, Tim, because the neighbors are trying to sleep. It's only 7:15. I met the neighbors too. They're really nice. Dana and what's your name? And that weather system. And yes, call this an intermission. Talking about weather systems. I met the owner of the anemometer yesterday, Paul Maravellis. You're going to meet him in a couple of minutes. That was so exciting. And I also chased the sunset. We're going to see that. And the sun looks like it might come out here before we're done talking, especially at this rate. We're at 7:47. Let's keep going. All right, so the map on Saturday with the front coming at us from the west. Now I'm going to put this back into motion slowly. The low pressure system to our north is going to push a front through here, and that front is moving pretty quickly with the upper level low moving much more swiftly now than we had expected for the last several days, and the low to our south is going to stay way south of New England. And all of a sudden, after a few showers possible, especially west and north of, say, I-95, tomorrow night, Sunday turns into a really nice day. Other than some instability, cold air advection clouds in the mountains, the feel of fall is coming back here for Monday and Tuesday. A new high-pressure system comes in, and it's a fairly chilly high-pressure system, probably not quite as cold as the one that's just departing, but it's going to have a similar impact on the weather next week. Looks like several more nice days next week as fronts are stalled across northern Canada, and that front across the south, that is going to be trouble for the people from Texas to probably Georgia, Florida, South Carolina. Trouble in the form of not named storms because the energy can't focus, but one wave after another of low pressure and tremendous rains. There are already flood watches and flood warnings in effect along the coast from Texas to Florida, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And then day 10, stop it here. Nothing has happened in New England all of next week other than that high going offshore. And day 10, that does look like a potential tropical cyclone near the coast of North Carolina, where yesterday it was closer to Bermuda. So the stakes are coming up here. Now we're way out there around September 15th or so, and there is a front, a weak one there in the Midwest, and baggy upper level. I can tell the upper level by looking at the red lines, the 570 line, and there are not many isopleths, they're called, up there at 500 millibars. So it's going to be a weak flow with a trough coming into the middle of the nation and a potential tropical system on the coast. That's where it gets interesting in New England. But if it's just sitting there over North Carolina, one of our rules is slow moving tropical cyclones that go by North Carolina do not generally make it to New England. So the early call is, if that does develop, it does not come up to New England. That's the real early call, but it's going to really give us something to do, as if we've got nothing to do over the next week and a half. So here we are at 10 minutes, and yesterday was such another rich day. We saw the spotter plane. I think it was Wayne Davis. Does he spot for the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy? He was doing some loops over Newcomb Hollow, so I'm quite certain that they were tracking some sharks just off the beach here yesterday. And I also met Paul Maravellis, the owner of those outstanding weather systems, and wait till you hear him speak for 1 minute. He could do a TED talk on wind measurements. And then we chased. Captain Dennis McCoy came over to this side, and we played around with Clementine. Wonderful, fun dog. And T-Rex and Clementine played around, and we watched the sun go down over Wellfleet Harbor. So a quick time lapse of the sunset, and the moon and Venus, a little disappointing because there was so much dirt, smoke, emissions on the horizon. When you have these big high pressure systems and they create inversions each night, the low level emissions go up only a certain point in the atmosphere, and then they go flat, so they don't dissipate, where it was so calm inland, even though it was so breezy here. And that was interesting too. It was so breezy on the beach here from the northeast. As we went across the way, there was calm water at Wellfleet Harbor. So really fun there. And I'll show you snippets of all that. And I'm kind of stalling here, hoping that the sun breaks through. So that's the fog cloud right there. But it's only real low-level high humidity. And we're going to have increasing sunshine here. I think that fog is going to dissipate. And this altocumulus is also fading right before our eyes. So it's going to be another nice day. And I really appreciate all the greetings we're getting on our YouTube site and the happy birthday wishes. Well, it's my little brother's birthday today, little Kevin. He's only 6 feet tall, and he's got another milestone birthday happening. So we have more friends and family coming over to celebrate another 6-0 in the family and friend department. And look at that blue sky. Yeah, I'm putting on sunscreen. Come on up, Kevin. Come on up early. We're going to the beach. Okay, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Look at that surf. Yeah, we will be covering the surf here right through the weekend. Stay tuned for more and more and more. 9 o'clock. Just beginning to edit today's Out the Door, and I'm already seeing tomorrow's and more. There's somebody doing something to that beautiful weather station. Coming to say hello. Here we come. IRATO engineer. We've had DMs before. Look at the water. Nobody here yet. Look at that. How often do you see a beach on the National Seashore? So beautiful, and not one person. Oh wait, we do have one group of people down there, 4 people. Looks like there was a large vehicle on the beach yesterday too. Last night. We're going up past the end of town property onto somebody else's property, because I love anemometers and people that install them. Shifting sands, USDI, NPS, National Park Service. It's all national park. I think even these buildings we're staying in. There's our deck. T-Rex is up in there. So once again, in case you don't know my history, I started learning the weather up here in the dunes of Cape Cod. From 5th grade, we had a field trip out here, and we walked in all these dunes, but never did I come across an anemometer like this and a technician working on them.
Hey, Tim.
Hey.
This is Wellfleet Station. This is my first station. This is
How'd you know my name?
Oh, Tim Kelly is a legendary New England meteorologist who was very mistreated by some people and who has a very highly respected name in the community. So that's how I know Tim Kelly.
And what's your name?
My name's Paul Maravillas. I'm the founder and operator of the MarePam weather Mesonet. We have a couple high performance stations on Outer Cape Cod in southern New England, and the goal is to provide the most robust, technically competent, and wind tunnel calibrated anemometry for capturing the day-to-day, but also for historic events. What that means with Class 1 is the wind energy industry has put in so much money into developing like anemometers to be very accurate for wind resource assessment. And to this day, the wind energy industry is the primary consumer of anemometers more than the meteorological space. What I'm trying to do is bring a lot of the scientific precision that's been developed for the wind energy industry. This is very valuable for forensic purposes. If there was ever a very high wind gust, a lot of the times with these lower quality weather stations, you get these fake high gusts. You don't know if it really happened because there's electrical interference. Sure. For the wind right on the ocean, that's notable for maritime interests, recreational interests, and also for me, the New England historical interest. Because as a kid, I'd look at Wikipedia, I'd read stories about how, the 186 mile an hour gusts of Blue Hill, where we also have a station during the 38 hurricane, all these incredible wind observations that they had when the technology was way less here in New England. And I say to myself, well, if that were to happen again, what would really be recorded? Because a lot of these weather stations, you have the airports, and then what do you have? You have stuff on people's houses, which is mostly personal grade hardware. A lot of that hardware goes offline during big storms because of the power outages and network outages.
How does yours not go offline?
So it's solar powered, but the point is, if the network goes down, if the cell tower goes down, it's all locally stored. So
right in here?
It's all locally stored right in there. There's an SD card. Every single pulse is... I am releasing my major next generation, third time's a charm, rewritten product line coming next year, next December 2025. It's going to be called WSV3 Tactical Mesoanalyst. And I've been working on that since a year ago. Literally today, about midnight of last night, a year ago, was when I started this next gen.
Midnight.
I remembered it was September 5th. And so it's going to be...
my birthday.
Oh, that's your birthday.
Yesterday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Midnight on...
Oh, that's fortuitous.
On what, 3 years ago, I had just turned 60. You started work.
Wow.
58, sorry.
I am so proud of that. I am so proud of that. There's a connection there.
Well, I've been...
One of our greatest New England meteorologists.
Oh,
birthday.
You're too kind. Paul Meravelius, correct?
You got it.
And when I first came up this dune, I saw somebody working over here, and I'm right over there. I'm like, I got to go meet that person. I've been dying to meet you for so long.
I've been dying to meet you, Tim. It's too funny. You messaged me once on Twitter a long time back. We were going to go, if I'm ever down, sometimes when I go storm chasing, I put a temporary tower at the beach down there. But if you want the full data, which has all of the different wind speed averaging values, right? These websites don't accept that. On my website, you can get the full resolution data, which will show you the minimum and maximum instantaneous, 10-second average, half-second average, 1-second average, etc., for every single minute of data for every single sensor on my site.
That's a boatload of data.
It is.
There he goes. That was so exciting. Another brother from another mother. And we're going to be friends for the rest of our lives, Paul. As long as the helicopter doesn't stop at your beach, I think you're in pretty good shape. And the plane. So, Atlantic White Shark Conservancy actually hires pilots to spot the sharks, so Dr. Scommel can tag them. Wayne, is that you up there? Wayne pilots for Atlantic White Shark Conservancy sometimes, and he's just doing a loop right over Wellfleet. So that's when you get concerned, when a plane or a helicopter does a loop over where you want to go surfing. Well, I'm not going in the water right now. All right, spotter went north, then came south, and went back north, now going south again. So there's definitely some shark activity going on. And also, clouds are building to our southeast. That's a good sign if you want some surf. Storm at sea. Play by play, and more and more and more. I think one of the keys to colorful hydrangea is the hydra part. So I'm assuming that these got plenty of water this summer. Gorgeous. And if you come to Wellfleet, you gotta come and meet Judith. She's so nice. Newcomb Hall shop. That T-Rex loves it here too.
Are these Farside cards? No.
Judith, I love your store.
Oh, thank you.
And what's this?
It's got the drug thief nurse, the old ladies gossip militia. It's got a sex-crazed abortion doctor, fishermen who smuggle drugs in plastic lobsters. It's got all the dirt.
And this is based on fictional characters?
It's based on people I know, but I changed their names.
Good.
And I camouflaged them. Don't worry, you're not in it.
So nice to meet you, Judith.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm gonna go down and see Olaf and get some sandals at sick day.
Yeah, okay, say hi to Olaf.
Oh, it looks like Oyster Fest time of year is coming. October 1920, Wellfleet residents can get free tickets for Sunday, October 19th. Use the code 20 local fleet 24. I think I came to the right place. I'm loving this selection. T-Rex, which ones do you like better? These are 13s. Those are 12s.
Ugly toe.
You match these ones. You kind of match both of them, I think.
Which ones are you
Difficult decision.
considering?
And your surfboard too. Couldn't settle just for sandals. Had to go for shoes and sunglasses and come back for a surfboard tomorrow maybe. There they are, we did it. There's a T-Rex around here somewhere. What a day. Polarized glasses. Mare's tails, waves in the sky, waves in the water. That's that offshore storm incoming. I think that's probably enough for today, but oh wait, we gotta go chase the sunset, the moon, and Venus going down over the harbor, or the bay. How are there baby turkeys in September? Late bloomers. So we chase sunset. We're gonna make a little time lapse. There's Mama.
Okay. Come on, Clem. Come on. Over here.
You wanted to scare the family? Aww.
That's a good girl. That's a good girl.
Anyone having deja vu? I did this game probably last year or the year before. Went down this secret path on a secret spot and a beautiful secret location on Earth. They got birds and ducks and dogs and people, and there goes a dog right now. You never know. You never know when a dog's gonna run right by you. Put on a show. I heard a voice. Oh, they're squatting up there. That looks like a good place to place a tripod. Did you guys just squat that? Look at Janet.
We're squatting.
We're squatting. All right, I'll edit this part out, which is really cool. What does it take to make you do it? Hey, who's Zodiac on that post over there?
Yeah.
So special. So, you know, I always talk about waves, gravity waves, the sun and the moon and the water. Well, right now the moon and the sun are pretty much right next to each other. Just past a new moon, and that means the low tide is at sunset. And that means you have to wait a while to get your boats out of on one of the most photographed sailboats in Wellfleet right here, because it's right behind the sunset. And we're gonna put that in the time lapse. The iPhone orange blob, which is so irritating. Clementine, come here, entertain us. Come here, you come here, right now. Sunset has begun. Dennis says the best part's about 10 minutes after, so we'll watch it set over his boat. 7:30, and we've just begun to see the moon on the left and Venus on the right. The crickets, the gulls, and the humans discussing things. Sound terrific. But now I'm going to try and zoom in on Venus and the moon and watch them go down over Great Island in Wellfleet, Massachusetts. 7:56, one more move to see the moon hit the horizon through that smoke layer. See what we can do. There it is, grainy as could be. So much editing today. It's 8:08 on September 5th. And do you know that you can calculate the temperature by counting the number of chirps from the crickets? Yeah, it's true. Don't ask me the equation right now. Talk to you tomorrow.